What's up, world? It's Just Jeff, and right now you tuned in to Just Jeff TV. These days I rap, so they call me P. Lou. But as an originator in the podcast space, before it was podcasting, I just, called it television. That's how we shot it. Shout out to Kid Nam, shout out to J. Cal, shout out to Macau Parrot, um, Junior. Names go on and on and on. But today, I'm in Denver, Colorado. We're on tour. Shout out to that. Shout out to Ready to Go Records. We are on tour. Um, what's really cool about this is Wednesday, um, I celebrate my 10th year as a full time entrepreneur. 2015, April 30th, that's when I first incorporated variety and production. Variety and production was the product of um, Just Jeff TV, um, and doing interviews and doing music videos. Shout out to Bigger. He was actually the first interview person on Just Jeff TV. But bigger than that, he was one of the first people to trust me and to ask me to do certain things for him in regards to shooting music videos, creating a cover art, photo shoots. So shout out to Bigger, man. If I ever got to sign anybody first, you know what I mean? It's not the D boys, pause. It's not my young boys out there in Southwest Atlanta. Um, it's gonna be Bigger honorary. He's an honorary signee Ready to Go Records. So I say that to say this is a full circle moment for me, and this is just all the divinity that continuously occurs around me. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I bumped into a podcast room at the WeWork that I'm in. You can't ask for this. You can't attempt for these type of things to happen. God has to be on your side, and God is always on my side. So I want to start there and introduce this special episode that way. But I'm kind of freestyling. This is nothing prepared or anything like that. But I did have the intentions on discussing my journey as a full time entrepreneur. 10 years in the game full time. I've been doing my own thing since maybe 2011. You could kind of go back to Concrete Jungle, but that was a school project. But after that, I kind of went on and started to do my own thing, for sure, for sure. But 2015 is when it became official. 10 years um, in this journey. Um, what's something that I've learned? Something that I've learned is you have to be resilient. You have to be one of the toughest motherfuckers in the world. You have to be one of the most sure people in the world. You have to have faith because there's going to be so much ups and downs. And when there's so many ups and downs, it's up to you to be even. You know, um, in times I get compliments on my stoicism. Look it up. I had to look it up. We all got to look it up. But I believe that derives from just having to deal with so much trials and tribulations on this journey and being in so many tough positions that I know a lot of people would tap out and, either A, go back home, either go get a job or, you know, run to Instagram and cry, thought about it. I said, it's a good day to go to Instagram and cry. But no, we decided to keep it pushing, keep on moving forward, and that's always been the best decision. Fast forward the tape, I own a record label now, Ready to Go Records. We're currently on tour. I just sent out a email, worth 5 figures, make some noise. You know, God willing, you know, God makes um God makes all miracles occur. That was the theme of today. Thumbing through the Quran is that God, He makes all miracles occur. Um, So, we leave it up to God, whether it's a miracle, whether it's just, the timing of deserving uh just the repercussions of putting in hard work. I'm a testimony of putting in hard work. I'm a testimony of believing in yourself. I'm a testimony of respecting yourself. I'm a testimony of putting others on. I'm a testimony of sharing information. Um, I'm just a testimony of a lot of things, me speaking on myself. So, you know, we can see what happens with that. That's not really the point. That's just kind of what's going on in today's time. And also in today's time, I'm gonna go do a performance later on. I believe it's called Reflection. Let me say it right. Like, who's gonna tune into this episode this quickly? Yep. Um, Reflections Lounge, Denver, Colorado. Meet me there. Don't meet me there. Um, Pause. But anyway, this is different. Not really, but it's been a long time since I've you know, got behind the microphone and did my own thing and really popped it off and said how I feel. So um I'm kind of really, freestyling and, I guess I could touch on certain topics that I never really discussed. Um One thing I'm gonna discuss, I'm gonna just get it off my chest. I'm gonna put it on the floor. Um Shout out to Detroit. It's on the floor. Um, a couple years back, I say about 2023. It was right before the Revolt Music Conference, or whatever they call it, Revolt Business and Music Conference. It was right before that. Um, I had a self-diagnosed case of Bell's palsy. For those that don't know what Bell's palsy is due to stress, and you lose control of half your face. You lose the nerves in half of your face. So over time, I kind of developed my look back. Um, I always wore shades, so that's something I linked on. But you know, um, that's something that happened, and that's something that was real, and that's something that slowed me down, honestly. And that's something that I don't want to say hindered me, because I'm somebody that turns any situation into a positive. So there's definitely certain things that occurred um positively from that I had to adapt from myself, but just from a confidence level, being honest. I'm used to being perfect. I'm used to looking good as fuck, and that case of Bell's palsy, it disrupted my smile. Um, it disrupted my facial balance. And it just disrupted how I just could control my face, honestly. So that, trickled into being in front of the camera. That trickled into, as an artist and, as a creative actor, model. I do other things within that realm of just being in front of the camera. It really affected me, and it really hindered my confidence. Um, but right now, I don't feel like I look that bad, but from time to time, it is what it is. But that's something that occurred that I never spoke about publicly, that I just felt like this is the moment to touch on. And the moment to touch on it, pause, for me is the fact that this is my 10th year in business. So these are the type of things that you have to endure, I guess, right? I don't want to say that everybody's going to have to go through shit like this, but the stress is something that's real. So learning how to manage that and just doing the right things, putting the right food in your body, exercising and fuck all the food and exercise shit. Keep the right people in your life and get the wrong people out your life. That's something that needs to be done, and that's something that needs to be said, and that has to be expedited and non-negotiable. You feel me? If you feel in your heart and your soul that someone does not align with you, do your best and do everything you have to do to get the fuck out that situation. I'm gonna say that, So me being on tour right now, this is healthy self preservation. I've been deep in my work. I've been deep in my bag. I've been deep in getting to my goals and accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish. Um, it's been the toughest thing I ever did. There's so many routes that I could have taken in my life that could have been so much easier. You know, I feel like I could have rapped a long time ago. I feel like I could have signed a deal and been a part of something, a long time ago. I feel as if shit, I could have just went out and did some dumb shit, some ignorant shit. I could have just got into some of that shit, you know what I mean? And went and got a bag. But I feel as if I took an honorable route just to be an example um, for anybody that's, watching my journey and following my footsteps. I feel like I did that consciously and made those decisions consciously. Going into the next 10 years is no longer about doing things for others. You have to unpack these last 10 years if you want to just embrace me for doing things with putting other people first. This time around, it's about me. This time around, I'm doing my thing, how I do my thing. No restrictions, no regards. Everything after me is after me. I'm in that stage of my life as a man where um I'm ready to start a family. You know, I'm ready to own a home. I would say get married or, more than get married, but have children. Just go into that. Why not? It's a 2025 podcast. I just feel like marriage is that having a child is the truest form of marriage there is. There's no separating that. Once that child is born, once you infuse and marry that DNA, that's something that's not changeable. You can lose love for somebody. Um, you can you could change your feelings could change for somebody. That can happen. But when you produce a child, I feel like that's the ultimate marriage. Women that I may deal with if they have a child and they be like, my baby daddy this, fuck this nigga, whoop de whoop. That sound good, but at the end of the day, you gonna still have to communicate with that person. You still gonna have to manage, household, whether y'all live together, apart, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Y'all still gonna have to manage shit together forever up until that kid is whatever age. So that's just my take on marriage. But not to digress, um, I'm just in a different stage of my life where I'm prioritizing myself. I'm prioritizing the family that I do have and that I'm building. I'm more concerned about what I'm building than anything else. I spent a lot of time alone on this journey, man. I'm gonna be honest. This is some of the most loneliest, corniest, not corny, but this shit is some of the loneliest activities that I ever done in my life. You know what I mean? If you're ever looking to be a loner, become an entrepreneur. Boom! Welcome back, Just Jeff TV. You know it. But yeah, if you ever want to be a loner, become an entrepreneur, become a true entrepreneur, not that halftime shit. I'm talking about it because I went through hell and back. You know what I mean? I took a lot of hits, you know, um, from people's perception. Cause at the end of the day, fuck you. At the end of the day, it's fuck you. I'm gonna go get me some millions and millions. I'm gonna make millionaires. Um, I'm gonna be a billionaire. I'm gonna break this bread up. I'm gonna stay alive, and I'm gonna continue to change the world. I'm gonna continue to be first. I'm gonna continue to be an innovator, and that's just what that's gonna be. Um, but other than that, see, I got me drifting, man. But other than that, you know, being being an entrepreneur is, a full-time entrepreneur is the loneliest shit I ever did in my life. I don't think I have any of my old friends for real. I don't think so. I don't think them niggas fuck with me hardcore. You know what I'm saying? I might see niggas and we could rekindle, you know what I mean? What we got, whatever the case like that. But from what I've seen in these last 10 years, just being honest, just being transparent, just talking for me, I don't know if niggas fuck with me like that for real still, just off of the fact of what they think is going on or what they can understand of what's going on. Because a lot of the times, these things are above people's pay grade. I'm just being honest. You feel me? I'm the owner, I'm the CEO, I'm the biggest. You know what I mean? In my world, in my company, right? And some people don't have the ability to think at this level. A lot of people don't. I would like to say 99.9% can't think with me. You know, just being honest. I'm intelligent, like documented, book smart type shit. But I'm also very fucking creative. And I also got nuts. Shout out to Corona, Queens, New York. Um, you know, I was raised on the bully, whether we like it or not. So what I've seen, what I've done, what I've learned, what I avoided, what I got into, all that shit shaped me to be who I am. But I know I'm special. I know I'm an outlier. I know I'm a divine being. And over time, I learned how to embrace that. I learned how to embody that, and I learned how to further influence that and also use it for good. You have decisions in life when you're blessed. You could use your powers for good or for worse. And a lot of times in this journey, I'm just touching the 10-year topic right now. A lot of times on this journey, um, niggas is gonna try it, and I ain't gonna lie, niggas tried it, and let me not go podcast crazy in here, but it takes a lot of maturity to let things be. It takes a lot of maturity to continue to walk forward. While people's throwing rocks at you. While people don't they playing games, and you built off of a certain type of principle, but you're not in a position to get tricked. You're not in a position to get pulled off your path. So it takes so much discipline. Let's talk about discipline when it talks about over these last 10 years. The amount of discipline I had to forecast into my life in order to reach this point um is incredible. I took my shahada in 2017. Let's touch all topics. You feel me? I was in a basement 5 years, isolated, real weirdo shit. You feel me? I ain't leave the basement. I ain't leave my 5 year isolation from 2015 when I started the business until 2020. 2020 is when COVID happened. When COVID happened, that's when I left and I went to Rhode Island for the summer. And after Rhode Island, I drove down to Atlanta. And in Atlanta, I just did that. And I don't want to say I'm done, but I'm expanding from there at this point right now as we speak, as I'm in Denver, Colorado, just left San Diego. Um, but yeah, like discipline. Um, I went through all faces and all facets of true entrepreneurship. I didn't went through every level. I didn't play every single position I could possibly play in my business and other people's businesses, um, in my community and other people's communities. My track record is long as fuck. I don't know how to even begin to lay out my portfolio and the amount of shit I've lost over these years. You know what I mean? There's some content we'll never see again unless, my storage unit got sold to a fucking hoarder that said, hey, this nigga pretty organized. Let me see what this nigga got. Let me save this shit and charge this nigga, X amount for it. And I'm buying it. But other than that, I don't know. Um, I don't have no quorum. I'm throwing out words in here. We got to Google this shit, about that type of topic. But I mean, about, the shit that I've lost. I've just chalked it up to the game and said, let's go get some more. But I don't have nothing from my past life. No jewelry. I done gave away my earrings, my diamonds. I done gave away all my watches. I done gave away all my belts, all my clothes. I don't have nothing. Um, I gave it all away. Everything that I got and everything that I obtained is brand new. And I don't mind putting it back in the game to go get some more. I believe that's what entrepreneurship is about. It's about betting on yourself and betting big to get big. If you're not betting big, you're not getting big. And I've been all in. Shout out to my book, You Believe Me When I'm Wealthy. The last rule, the bonus rule is calculated bets all in. You know what I'm saying? And I've purposely lived my life following those guidelines of you will believe me when I'm wealthy. Rule number one, mind your business. And y'all have seen me, whether y'all like it or not, whether you know it or not, y'all have seen me mind my business at the highest of levels. You see me mind my business at the highest of levels. I've done that. I'm on that Colorado, bro. I ain't gonna lie, I've been drinking like a rapper. This ain't no sponsor, but shout out to AC Golden Brewing Company. This is not an ad. You heard? This is just beer. And this is Just Jeff TV. I ain't gonna call it no season. I'm gonna call it a special episode, man. I'm gonna have a conversation with David Shands, man, and I'm gonna bring you a different type of Just Jeff TV. And it's gonna be worth its time. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, or when I'm gonna do it. I don't even put this on no type of timeline, but I do have some things up my sleeve, per usual. Um, but to stay on topic, the topic is, this is my 10th year. I'm celebrating my 10th year as an entrepreneur, April 30th, 2025. And my best advice is, yeah, own something. If you got something that you want to do, own something. But if you're not prepared to die, don't become an entrepreneur, a full-time entrepreneur. You could be a business owner. You could be self-employed, but don't become a real life entrepreneur. Don't be out here just butt naked. Got to get $1 your way every day. Unless you cut from that cloth. Unless you're ready for that road. If you ain't ready for that road, really, my best advice is go to school, get a job. I used to tell people to drop out. I used to tell people that. I used to tell people that, go back to my old interviews. I do college interviews. I tell people drop out, follow your dreams. Who needs books? Who needs this? That shit cool. But at the end of the day, if you're not cut from a certain type of cloth, if you don't have a certain level of fire, foresight, vision, faith instilled within you, I suggest you go get yourself a job, get a part-time job, run up your racks, and leave people like me alone, and let me just be a psychopath, a visionary psychopath, and just do my best to keep hacking away until we strike gold, we turn the whole shit up. And I don't want to discourage anybody from, ownership. I'm just letting people know about that. The process of going cold turkey in the entrepreneurship full time, 10 years in a row. If you know somebody that has been an entrepreneur for 10 years, started at the age of 21, never had a job. I know a lot of fucking money getting ass niggas. I don't know that many that never had a job in the last 10 years. They got a lot of money. I gotta give it to niggas. You know what I'm saying? But I just haven't seen anybody that really that ballsy, to take it to the max like I've done it, and financially, let's talk about finances. financially, this been some of the hardest shit. God forbid you have a bump in the road. God forbid you get caught doing 82 listening to bad guys in the Lexus with a suspended license. You heard me? That should have set you back. God forbid you get late on that rent and you get that red notice on the door. Then you gotta go to the court, and you gotta whoop the whoop, and you gotta yeah with the yeah, and you gotta, hey, I'm about to do this, and just give me a little bit of. It's hard to sleep not knowing that them niggas about to come to that door. You heard me? So, financially, every single day I gotta wake up and get money. Every single day. Somehow. I don't give a fuck, a dollar, quarter, something. I gotta at least try. I gotta at least attempt. I gotta at least shoot a shot. I'll tell you today, I just put up a shot for 12K. You know? I'm about to go shoot another shot. You know, at this performance right now. Um, I'm gonna still go shoot some shots and sell some shit. I'm gonna go sell some shit. I'm out of town. I ain't got no product on me. It's whatever. I got digital products. I got digital assets. I got albums. The album's out right now. 1E9, the $1 billion project. That's out right now. I have that. I have digital assets. You know, I have my book. You'll believe me when I'm wealthy. That's out right now. You can go buy that. You can go support that. Use promo code I am wealthy. Get 50% off for your purchase. Um, yeah. While we're on this topic, let's touch on the topics of digital assets. I feel as a label owner that digital assets are the future. I feel as if um, Ready to Go Records. I don't like telling niggas shit, but this is a podcast, whatever. I ain't talking in the future right now because I be so in the future with shit. I'm always like first, honestly. And everybody go, oh, then they jack on my dick. Fuck that. Podcast talk. But yeah, I feel as if just with the music game and just, where society's going, that, owning digital assets is, greater than owning stock, depending on how you invest and how smart you are with investing in the digital asset that you create and having ownership in, and depending on how you collaborate and partner with people. So Ready to Go Records, I want that to look like the new stock market when it's all said and done. When you walk into the offices of Ready to Go Records, I want to say, 2027, 2028, that shit gonna look like the stock market floor. That shit gonna look like the New York Stock Exchange. And if I can expedite that process, then I will. Um, but that's just what it's gonna look like, through ownership. Every song, I want to see where it's going. And the cool thing about these digital assets is that you can't go under. Because I'm never gonna wake up and just be comfortable with losing 10,000. Like losing it to a stock market? I don't think so. I'm not gonna be okay with it. Will I invest? Will I have an investment portfolio? Absolutely. Will it be low risk? Absolutely. Will I have additional money, expendable money that I may invest into higher risk situations? Absolutely. But for first and foremost, as I've always been, I'm investing myself. I'm investing the God-given talents that's been bestowed upon me to create art um, that's worth and that's valuable. Um, a lot of money and invest it and keep it in the family, keep it in the circle. I'm not gonna lie, this was kind of cool. Um, I touched on some topics I never touched on before. Don't know if I'm gonna touch on it again. Um, New music on the way. Ready to Go Records, the biggest label in the game. Um, Jeffrey Pierre-Louis, the real new CEO. If you know, you know. Nowadays they call me P. Lou. What it do? But ain't nothing left. It's just Jeff. I'm signing out.